Joining me now, Republican National Committee Communications Director Sean Spicer, Democratic strategist and former senior advisor to Hillary Clinton, Kiki McLean, and CNN Global Affairs analyst Kimberly Dozier, and CNN Global Economic Analyst Rana Foroohar. Welcome to all of you. I'm glad you're here.
Good morning.
Good morning. So, Sean, Romney showed up joking about his wealth and talking about his Mormon faith. All good, but here's the question. Even if voters do see a different Mitt Romney, how will they know it's the real Mitt Romney?
Well, I think you and I have talked about this before, but we've got about 28 or so candidates that are really looking at this race. Each one of them is going to have to make a case to Republican voters that they're the best, they've got the best policies and they relate best to them. So Mitt Romney's out there doing testing the waters. It looks like he's trying to do it differently than he did last time. But I think you're seeing that with a lot of our candidates going out there and making the case. So you know, it's going to be up to our activists and to our grassroots voters to decide who's making that best case, and I'll leave it up to them.
But will it be difficult for Mitt Romney, Sean, to demonstrate who the real Mitt Romney is to the voters? Because they didn't know last time around.
Well, again, I mean, that's up to Mitt Romney to decide what parts. I mean, I think Romney really is a guy that has done a lot for his community. He's been very generous to folks. And I think that he looked at the campaign in terms of the last campaign as something that his experience as a governor, as an executive, as someone who saved the Olympics, really would benefit the United States. I think in retrospect, he's looking at it now saying, you know, I think that people really cared a lot more about me and my beliefs, and he's trying to share that. But again, each of these candidates has to figure out how to best communicate that. I mean, Hillary Clinton is in a similar boat where she's trying to figure out how does a woman who has made all of this money and done very well for herself while in public office and communicate that after comments like that she was dead broke with 2 mansions and flying around that she relates to people. So actually, each candidate's got to go out there and make their case.
You're absolutely right about Sean, and that is my next question, and I'll pose this to Kiki. There are that Romney is selling his house with the car elevator, and rumor has it his legal residence will be Utah, not Massachusetts. But I think it'll take more than that to make up for that infamous 47% comment. Although he's already started jabbing at Hillary Clinton for her wealth and her missteps, because Sean is right about this. Remember when she said this?
We came out of the White House not only dead broke, but in debt. We struggled to piece together the resources for mortgages, for houses, for Chelsea's education. It was not easy.
So, Kiki, most politicians are wealthy. Can't we just be honest with that? Can't we just stop the "we're just like you" stuff? Can't they just sit in a restaurant and eat caviar? Because we get it.
I don't think that's what they all come from. And so I think there are some people who may have done well in their life, but maybe that's not what they come from, and that's not what really informs their values. I don't think it's surprising that Governor Romney wanted to throw a couple of shots. He's trying to generate a little more enthusiasm for his potential candidacy in his party. What we didn't hear, at least in all the coverage I've read, because I was not in Mississippi for the speech, we didn't hear him talk about what he wants to do for people who are living in poverty, and he doesn't have a big track record on that. I think if Secretary Clinton decides to run for president, she'll have that conversation with the American people, and she'll talk about the policies, and she'll talk about her record starting in her early 20s as a young staffer for the Children's Defense Fund and the kind of fight that she's put up her whole life in advocating for children and families.
But she can't escape the fact, Kiki, that she's a very wealthy woman now who makes an awful lot of money for speaking for an hour in front of groups across the country.
But the questions you're raising, Carol, are about tactics, and that's what Governor Romney talked about yesterday, are tactics. Let's talk about real issues. And I think what's really important going into 2016, because the most critical consumer of a campaign are the American voters, and they get it. There's a reason Governor Romney didn't get elected last time. There are certainly reasons why people win and lose primaries, and that's what the issues in the debates are about. So if Secretary Clinton decides to pursue that path, then she'll have that conversation with the American people.
Okay, so there was a little red meat in Romney's speech at the University of Mississippi, because he did describe some ways in which he wants to help the middle class, and here are just a couple of them. He said he wanted to create more charter schools. He wanted kids to have life coaches. I wasn't quite sure what that meant. He wants people to have incentives to get married, because of course that means that your financial life will be a lot easier. And he wants to provide incentives for employers to hire first-time job seekers. So, Rana, as I said, I'm not sure about what the life coaches thing is. Maybe he meant mentors. I don't know. But the other stuff sounds a lot. Well, it sounds safe. Bipartisan ideas. The question is, will any of these ideas solve the wage gap?
No, these are really things at the margins. I do think it's interesting, though, that Mitt Romney, Mr. 47%, is talking about these issues, because I think that what this says is that the wage stagnation problem, the plight of the middle class, is going to be the economic issue for the election in 2016 on both sides of the aisle, and that both sides are going to have to come up with an answer for that. I don't hear that here. I think that these are very minor things that could help at the margins, but they really don't address the core issue.
Sean, what do you think?
Hey, Carol.
No, go ahead, Sean. What do you think about
Carol, I was going to say, I was going to say, I mean, I know that, it was just Romney's comment on 47% got brought up, and he was in the spotlight the last cycle. But I think equally as important, and what you're going to hear a lot this cycle, is that Hillary Clinton went out and said, don't let anybody fool you. Business and corporations don't create jobs. And I think that to the average person out there, whether or not you're a worker or an actual employer, that just doesn't pass, economics 101.
Sean,
we all know
Sean,
that you get hired by a business or...
Sean knows that quote was taken out of context, and she was referring to trickle-down economics, and he knows that.
Directly out of her... No. It was never taken out of context. She actually said it.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. No. So in the same way that everybody wants to say... Wait. Hold on.
Sean,
wait,
out
you
of
can't say
context
that what
refers to the full discussion. Read the full transcript. Sean, you know it. You know that you're taking a shot that's not fair.
So you like to throw out the 47% on comment on Romney, but... So
Sean,
you like to take the comment that Governor Romney said, take it out of context. Okay, great. But the point is that everything that Hillary Clinton says has got to be taken out of context within it.
Well, let's go to the underlying issue. Let's go to the underlying issue and what exactly will help the middle class and the poor in America. So, Rana, you're an economist. What will help?
Well, unfortunately, it's not short-term fixes. We need a total overhaul of the educational system. I think we need some major tax reform that really addresses the fact that we're living in a new age. Globalization is not stopping. Tech-related job destruction is probably only going to get bigger as a trend and affect more middle-class jobs. I also think that we really need to address the short-termism in the markets. A lot of businesses, are pushed to make decisions that might be good for shareholders, but actually aren't good for underlying growth and job creation. That's something that can be addressed with the tax system. We should take on, I think, short-termism, and that's going to be an issue for Romney to address because private equity is a part of that.
All right, on to foreign policy right now. And Kimberly, I know you've been waiting patiently, so here it is. This is what Romney said about ISIS. Quote, ISIS represents a new level of threat given its oil revenues, vast territory, and ability to recruit even in the West. I don't know how the president expects to defeat the jihadists if he won't even call them what they are. So Mr. Romney's solution appears to be call ISIS Islamic terrorists and stop being timid, President Obama. It's got to be more than that, right?
Well, he is echoing what a lot of special operations officials have been saying at a conference this week. The former head of the Defense Intelligence Agency came out and lashed out at the administration he's just left, saying you've got to call them Islamic militants, but that makes you identify what's driving them, and you can come up with the right tools to combat them. Romney also struck out at Hillary Clinton on her foreign policy record on two areas, Russia and Benghazi, saying that in the Russia case, she favored a reset, and now look, Russia has invaded Ukraine. That is something that she has been trying to reset ever since then, positioning herself to run. On Benghazi, she has said, I will testify before the new Benghazi investigation committee, and that will give her a chance, hopefully, to erase that piece of tape that's going to haunt her when she said, what difference does it make? Now, she was referring to questions over, did the administration change the talking points describing the Benghazi attack? But it has come to reflect, did she really value the loss of 4 American lives there? She wants to erase that. She also has to show that she's not going to lose temper this time around under questioning, because that's not very presidential.
Yeah. Kiki, do you agree?
Well, listen, I think in the hearing that a lot of Americans saw, she didn't lose her temper. She showed her passion and the deep, deep heartbreak that many Americans, most importantly the family members of those Americans serving who were lost, those 4 American lives. She showed a passion for them and her concern for them and their families. I think that on Governor Romney's attempt to take a shot at her on Russia. The reality is, as Secretary of State, she has a terrific track record there. She is the person who really brought Russia around and got them into the coalition to put more stringent binds on Iran, which temporarily slowed down their nuclear growth. She's the one who pushed forward the New START treaty. And this is a leader who actually said very early on, watch out for Putin. I don't trust that guy. We're talking about a former KGB officer. So I think there's not a lot of room there. But like I said earlier, Governor Romney's trying to generate a little bit of enthusiasm in his party for a potential candidacy. He hasn't gotten a lot of warm fuzzies from his own team, and that's where we're going.
Before my time is up, Sean, I want you to have the last word.
Yeah, I would just say that the greatest accomplishment of Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State may be that she can give a good Vladimir Putin impersonation, but that's pretty much where it stops. I mean, Russia reset was a failure. North Africa seems like a failure. The Middle East. So I think she's given a good impersonation of Vladimir Putin, and I think that's where her accomplishment ends as Secretary of State.
All right, I have to end it there. Sean Spicer, Kiki McLean, Kimberly Dozier, Rana Faruhar, thanks to all of you. I appreciate it.